Ramchandraji, Sitaji, and Sitaji is kidnapped. Ramchandraji and Lakshman are walking towards Rishimukh Parvat in search of Sugriv. I mentioned last week that they were already well-known characters, Sugriv and his brother Bali. So now, backstory before Ramchandraji actually meets them. In Kishkinda, Bali was the older brother, and so he was the king. And he had this boon bestowed on him that whoever came in front of him, he would gain half their strength, and that person would lose half their strength. So it didn't matter how strong the person in front of him was, the minute they were in front of him, he would get half their strength, which meant he was always going to be more powerful and strong than the person he was fighting. This potentially could be the reason that he was able to defeat Ravana so easily also. Remember, he was able to take Ravana and tuck him under the armpit. So this boon that he got, so to get a boon, this is also important. We so often say that this one got this boon and that one got that boon, but we must remember, to get a boon, you need to do immense tapas. And like little bit tapas won't, nothing happens. You have to do really a lot of tapas, which means your mind is already so strong from doing that kind of tapas. So Bali's mind was so strong that he was able to ask for the boon, and he was able to get this boon, which made him incredibly powerful. Now, human nature, when somebody is powerful, we want to prove that we are more powerful, and the way to do so is to challenge them. And so you can replace powerful with anything. When somebody is very beautiful, we want to prove we're more beautiful. If someone's very rich, we want to prove we are more rich. If someone is knowledgeable, we want to prove that we are more knowledgeable. Interesting quirk that we have as humans. Of course, somebody is beautiful and we can just admire, or somebody is knowledgeable and we can just appreciate. And sometimes we do. Sometimes we will think, oh, this person's so knowledgeable, so well-read, so intelligent. So sometimes we will just appreciate it, but there's also this tendency in us. So especially if it's our thing, right? So if beauty is my thing, and then somebody is very beautiful, then I have to be more beautiful. Or if being rich is my thing, then somebody else is more rich, and then because that's my thing. So when Bali was so strong, he constantly kept getting challenged for a jewel, so that these people wanted to be able to say, I defeated Bali, because he was so powerful and so well reputed. And so usually they would come into the kingdom and they'd scream out their challenge, and he's also a little bit hot-headed. Yeah. So anyone who challenged him, straight away, he was all gung-ho, and he would go, and then they'd fight, and he'd usually win because he had this incredible boon. But sometimes Rakshasas also have boons, and so then his boon and their boon, and it cancels out, and then it turns out to be quite a intense fight. So one such Rakshasa had come and challenged him, and so because he felt that this was going to be an extraordinarily long fight and a particularly violent one, he took the Rakshasa into a cave, and he tells his brother Sugriv, you guard the cave, and if I don't come out after 3 days, then chances are I have lost, and we don't want this Rakshasa to be set free. So you seal up the cave. Now, this was his instruction only. So in he goes, and 3 days pass, and actually Sugriv doesn't seal the cave after 3 days. He waits. And a whole week passes, and Bali hasn't come out of the cave yet. And then Sugriv thinks, I've waited a whole week. I really don't know what to do now. And so we sometimes find ourselves in this situation. What do we do now? And then if the Rakshasa had defeated Bali, Sugriv had no hope of defeating him. So you can't wait to see, is the Rakshasa coming, is Bali coming? So he decides he'll seal the cave, and then he goes back to the kingdom. And now he's the heir to the throne. So he takes over the kingdom. So Bali comes out, having defeated the Rakshasa, and is extremely angry with Sugriv that you closed the cave and you trapped me inside, and now you've taken over the kingdom. There might have been already some misunderstanding between them. It's not like he'd wake up overnight and do this. That's the second thing. That usually there's accumulation. It can't be just, but we don't see the accumulation. Maybe they don't show, they felt bad, they felt bad, they felt bad, they felt bad. And then one day they show so much. And then is that their fault? Partially. But we could also have noticed small indications that they give. But sometimes we also take for granted. So, did Sugriv deserve this injustice of Bali saying, how dare you? When Bali himself said, close the cave if I don't come out. There must be lots of history here in the dynamics between the two brothers, which we don't know. And so Bali comes out, and he was hot-headed. We know this. Decides that he's going to avenge this injustice done to him. And the punishment is he will kill Sugriv. Now, Bali is very strong. And he has this boon. So then Sugriv starts running. It's like he doesn't want to be killed. And maybe he didn't want to fight with his brother also. So he is running. And then this description is quite humorous, that he has visited absolutely everywhere, hiding from his brother. And if this was like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, then you'd have Sugriv shum, Bali going shum. You know how like that one, like just that one little bit away from you. Like you can imagine this going on for years and years and years and years, just around the whole earth. And then, like actually when you read this, two things strike me. That how come Bali didn't get tired of chasing Sugriv? Like it's gone on for years. Like a good 20 years. It's just gone on and on and on. And Bali wanted his kingdom back, but he's not sitting in his kingdom. He's running around chasing Sugriv. This is, it's easy to laugh at Bali, but we do this. Like we wanted something, then we feel some injustice was done. Maybe there was also. And then we invest so much of our time in trying to get justice done or trying to get vengeance done, and then, but the original thing that I wanted, I'm not enjoying. We do it with so many things, but especially we do it with relationships. Like, why do we have the relationship in the first place? Because we wanted to enjoy and nurture and be nurtured. And then we get so stuck up on, we think it's important, so I don't want to say it's small, but we'll get stuck on something. But then the whole relationship suffers and we're not enjoying the relationship, which was the purpose of getting into the relationship. I mean, not a single one of us ever get into a relationship thinking, I want to bicker with them. That's never a goal of getting into a relationship. So Bali's following Sugriv around everywhere, and then he's not actually enjoying the kingdom. And two is like, you got to admire Bali's, what's the word? Fortitude. That he at no point gives up. Like he just keeps running. It would be exhausting to live in that constant state of fear. And he was definitely living in a constant state of fear because he was always looking over his shoulder to see if Bali was there. And he was suspicious of absolutely everyone. But he finds one spot where Bali can't go, which is Rishimukh Parvat, this mountain. And Bali can't go onto this mountain because there is a story where some rishi was meditating in Rishimukh Parvat and Bali threw an animal and it splattered, and then all that blood and all of that. And the rishi got very annoyed with this behavior and cursed him that he can't step foot on this mountain. So this is the only place he can't come. And so Sugriv stays there, in this only place that Bali can't come. But Bali can't come, but he can send people. And so Bali would constantly send people. And so Sugriv was still highly, highly suspicious of everyone who came because there were people who came and then they were Bali's agents. And so he would get all frazzled. So now we're going to pause there, right, in that backstory, and we're going to go to another backstory. In the Mahabharata, we see, actually it starts in the Ramayana and then it goes to the Mahabharata, but we see this scene, which we spoke about when we did the Mahabharata, we had spoken about it so elaborately, that Arjuna kills Karna. Arjuna is an Amsha of Indra Devata, and Karna was an Amsha of Surya Devata. And here we see in the Ramayana that Sugriv is an Amsha of Surya Devata, and Bali, his brother, is an Amsha of Indra Devata. And we're going to see this, that because of Sugriv, Bali is killed. And Indra Devata gets very upset about this. That Ramchandraji sided Sugriv and kills Bali, and then, and so in the next avatar, in Krishna avatar, the opposite happens. Krishna is with Arjuna, who is the son of Indra Devata. And it is Karna that gets killed. It's just nice to know these small ways in which everything ties in together. And how even there at that level, at the level of devatas, we can still be stuck on something like this. Like the devatas haven't really transcended and are incredibly mature. They'll also want, you showed favoritism. But what about me? I want attention. This is it, right? We want attention. Even all these people challenging Bali, it's because they want attention. Sugriv too. enjoyed it. Every single one of us enjoys attention, wants attention. And even though it's such a natural thing, we have to be so alert to how we seek it, how we seek attention, how much we need it. Because like with every desire can lead to such downfall. So Surya Devata was Hanumanji's guru. Hanumanji was very naughty. Like, you think, not like we describe Krishna as being naughty, nowhere near. Krishna is nowhere near as naughty as Hanumanji. What did Krishna do? He stole a little bit of butter, and he used to untie the calves, and then they would run away to their mothers. Not like run away. The calves would run away to their mothers, and then they would drink all the mother's milk. And so then the cows wouldn't have the milk. And then when the lady of the house went to go milk the cow, like, why is the calf here? Why has he drank all the milk? And so that's what was Krishna's naughtiness? Like, absolutely nothing. He was like letting the cow drink the milk from the cows. I mean, the calf drink the milk from the cows and just steal a little bit of butter, and like nothing else. He danced on Kalya, which is like, how is that even naughty? What did Hanumanji do? When a rishi was meditating, he'd lift the rishi up and put him on the branch of a tree. Now, when you sat for meditation, you are on the ground. Then when you wake up from meditation and you're about to stand, you fall from the tree. Now, you're all laughing, but the rishi did not think it was funny. And he was doing this constantly. Or he'll braid their beard with something like, twigs. He troubled the rishis so much. And so they refused to teach him. When you're a really naughty kid, then, they didn't want to deal with him. It's like, no. So he had to go to Surya Devata to learn. And then this is a very nice, fun story that Surya Devata is traveling around the sun. We all know it's not true, but story-wise. And so you have to face your guru when you're learning from the guru. So Hanumanji walked backwards, facing Surya Devata, getting all this knowledge. And idea being that his level of skill and his level of attentiveness, and usually naughty kids are very intelligent, and so you have to really challenge them. Only when he has to be so single-pointed will he sit and pay attention. So Surya Devata taught him, and then we have to give Guru Dakshina. And when it was time for Hanumanji to give Guru Dakshina, Surya Devata said, "Protect my son, Sugriva." So now, Bali and Sugriva had this fallout, and Bali is chasing Sugriva all over the world, and Hanumanji has to give his Guru Dakshina, and he has to protect Sugriva. So Hanumanji is also running everywhere with Sugriva, making sure that Sugriva doesn't get caught, and serving Sugriva. And so they are in Rishimukh Parvat. And Sugriva is watching out that Bali isn't coming and he isn't sending anyone. And so as he's watching out, he sees these two young men, one as dark as the rain cloud, and the other as fair as lightning striking through the rain cloud. And he actually thinks they're so beautiful. I wonder who they are. And then the second thought is, Bali must have sent them. And so he quickly calls Hanumanji. Make sure they don't come into the mountain. And so Hanumanji also looks, because he's Guru Dakshina, he's protecting Sugriv, so he wants to make sure he's doing his job well. And when he looks at Hanumanji, and Hanumanji is looking at Ramchandraji and Lakshman, he says, they can't be Bali's employees, because they look like royalty. Like, you can just see their posture, their like, they don't look like Vanaras. So they definitely not from here. Right? And this would be like, we can recognize people. Even till today, we can recognize, right? Just from their face, we know they are Punjabi. Just from their face, we know they are Sindhi. Just from their face, we know they are from Tamil Nadu. Not always easy to, but some features are very classic. So Hanumanji is like, they definitely not from here. But it's a bit confusing, because they look like princes and they're carrying bow and arrows. So they're carrying weapons, which usually only Kshatriyas do. But they dress as ascetics, which are Brahmanas. And Brahmanas wouldn't carry bow and arrows. And Brahmanas don't walk around so regal. They usually just a little bit more cash, a little bit more reflective, and whereas and so he's like, they seem to be a puzzle. Like, who could they possibly be? And so Hanumanji is intrigued. When a devotee has yearning or devotion for Bhagwan, it starts with attraction. And if you think about it, any relationship starts with attraction. Now, attraction doesn't have to be physical, romantic attraction. Just we attracted to the personality, or we attracted to, like, even with a friendship. In Australia, I used to see this very often. I don't get out as much in Hong Kong. I'm sure it happens here too. In Australia, everybody follows footy. Is that what it's called? Yeah, it's called footy. And then just similar to football in London, where they have Manchester, and those are actual suburbs. So also in Australia, it was Melbourne. I lived in Melbourne. So all the teams were suburbs. And Collingwood and Hawthorn and similar concept. The game's not similar. Actually, I don't know. I don't know either game. They might be similar. So, but what am I saying? So often at uni, like, somebody will be wearing a Hawthorn scarf or a Collingwood scarf, or have a Collingwood badge or something like that. And somebody else would be, not wearing any particular thing that distinguishes them, but they'll see, and then it will be like, bro, dude, hey, and then suddenly this whole conversation and about, the game, and this one played like that, I forget who it is, but I think it was Collingwood, and they hadn't won anything for like 20 years. But they were all still so loyally supporting. And so again, when they would meet, they would be like, we'll win this one. It's like they haven't won for 20 years, but they were still convinced they were going to win in the next game. And so this would attraction. What was the attraction? Just that they had the same loyalty to a sports team. I'm trying to say attraction it can be anything, but the start of a relationship is always attraction. And so here too, Hanumanji is like our Parama Bhakta. It means like one of the most beautiful devotees and the greatest devotees ever. And it starts with him looking out the window. I don't know if they had windows, but looking out the windows and seeing, Ramchandraji in the distance and thinking, oh, like, is he a prince? Is he an ascetic? What's he doing in the forest? Why is he in the forest? Like, I need to go and figure out who he is. And so there's that attraction. Not quite love at first sight. Some people will say it's love at first sight, and again, love at first sight need not be romantic. Yeah. Just this kind of gut intuitive feeling that this person and I are going to get along. But that's not what happens with Hanumanji, even though that's such a romanticized concept of when you meet the person that's meant for you, you will know the moment your eyes lay on them. Hardly ever that happens. But there is some kind of attraction, maybe to humor, maybe to physical, maybe to a loyalty of belonging, or maybe to, just the way they responded to something, which is something you would do, and so you relate to them. And so Bali, Sugriv is like, make sure they don't come. But Hanumanji is thinking, I want to know who they are. And this much Hanumanji is very confident in. They're not a threat. Sugriv is highly suspicious. He's like, how you know they're not a threat? You don't even know who they are. And they're carrying bows and arrows. They are a threat. Hanumanji said, just because they're carrying bows and arrows doesn't mean they are a threat. Huh? Sugriv is not listening to any of it. He is watching his back. And so Hanumanji decides, I'll go see who they are. I'll be your spy. He won't even know you are here. Because Sugriv said, if you go, he'll know I'm here. He won't know you're here. And so Hanumanji puts on a disguise. Now we see in the Mahabharata, and we see in the Ramayana, and we see in quite a few of the other Puranic stories that Rakshasas had the ability to change the way they look through thought, which is a pretty cool siddhi. Like, when we want to change the way we look, we have to full on go to plastic surgery. And then you can't come back to who you are. Rakshasas could just think they look different, and then when they don't want to look that way anymore, they come back to who they are. Now, if Rakshasas could have that siddhi, it's a siddhi. And we know this about Hanumanji, Ashta Siddhi Navanidhi Kedata. He had all the siddhi. So by just thinking, he could change the way he looks. And he chose to choose the form of a Vatu. Vatu means a kid, number one. Two, in those days in Gurukul, when kids used to join the Gurukul, they would shave their hair. And they'd have one small little, it's called choti, but it's a kid one. So sometimes the very pointing ting, like today also, you see sometimes when the men have their hair's not long enough to put in a bun or tie up, but they so convinced it is, so they tie it and then it ting, ting, ting. So Hanumanji looks like this cute little kid, but with his hair shaven, and so a kid would be so non-threatening. So he's going to meet Ramchandraji and he's put on this disguise so that no suspicion is raised that Sugriv is there, because Sugriv is anxious. So one, he's a Vatu, means he doesn't look like a Vanara. And two, he looks like a small kid, so there's no threat. And he comes down the mountain, and Sugriv is very invested in what's going on. So Sugriv stays up the mountain, and Sugriv is watching. And Hanumanji comes down the mountain, and he goes towards Ramchandraji. And he comes and stands in front of Ramchandraji, and just like any kid would, he asks, "Who are you?" Recently, I had gone somewhere, and the whole family knew me. It's a very, very big family. I was invited to their house because some happenings was happening, and the whole family very busy with all the festivities, and I was there to be a part of all the festivities. And so I think he was 7 years old. So all the older kids knew me. They all did pranams, one after the other. And the 7-year-old comes, and then he does something a little bit cheeky. And I know his name, and I say something to him about, like, that's not on, do not behave that way. He looks up at me and he literally, "Who are you?" Someone who can scold you. Kids have that innocence about them, right? And Hanumanji wasn't pretending. He really just wanted to know, who are you? The first journey, in our journey as a devotee, the first thing is attraction. The second thing is inquiry. This is what we all want to know, right? What is this divine force? Who is Krishna, Hanuman, Rama? Who are they? Right? Who is God? What is this? Like, it's in a story here in the Ramayana, but really, if we think about it, this is the journey of a seeker. Right? We get attracted to, then we want to know, what is it? Right? We get attracted to nature and the beauty of nature and the brilliance of the ecosystem. And so there's this higher entity. And then, what is this higher entity? Right? Or as a little kid, and your parent tells you there's God, and then where? And what does he look like? And when can I meet him? Right? This absolute innate wanting to know. And especially if there's attraction. I mean, forget God. Even if there's a person in the room we're attracted to, we go over and you're like, "So who are you?" We won't say it like that. We'll usually introduce ourselves, and then they're like, "Are you visiting Hong Kong? Like, I haven't seen you in the ashram before." There'll be some kind of inquiry. We do that with regular people. When there's attraction, we want to learn more. And so with divinity too, and we want to know more. And so Hanumanji's first statement or question is, who are you? which is such a profound thing to ask when we think about it philosophically. Like, who is God? And really, that is the journey of spirituality, understanding who God is. Because eventually it's me. And so who are you as to also become who am me? Who am I? And so nicely weaving into a story, right? And so Ramchandraji replies, I am Dashrath Putra Ram. And we're so used to Hanumanji saying Ramaduta me Hanuman, but it was the way people actually spoke there. Because even Ramchandraji is saying Dashrath Putra Ram. Yeah? I am the son of Dashrath. My name is Ram. And at this point, he's lost his father, but still that loyalty and that sense of lineage and that Dashrath Putra Ram. Still, and all the more because he's in the forest, because honoring King Dashrath's word. And so Ramchandraji always introduced himself this way, as a regular prince. There's nothing regular about princes, but as a regular prince. And so next question, of course, Hanumanji is like, why are you here? And so Ramchandraji patiently tells the whole story. We lived in Ayodhya and then we were exiled to the forest and we were living beautifully in Dandaka. And then Ravana came and, we don't know if it's Ravana at this point. But, my wife has been kidnapped and we're looking for, no, we do know it's Ravana because Jatayu said. We're looking for my wife who Ravana has taken and we don't know where he's taken it. And so we're searching for her. And Hanumanji is listening to this whole story. And the first thing that occurs to him is, we can help you. In different versions of the story, in one version, Sita ji dropped a whole bundle of jewelry. I think I mentioned this, right? Or didn't mention this? I've mentioned that different versions of the Ramayana exist and it happened in different kalpas. And in one version of the Ramayana, she's dropped one earring, then the next earring, like, is it Hansel and Gretel? And left a nice trail of jewelry everywhere. But in some versions, she's just taken off all her jewelry and she's wrapped it as a potri and just dropped. And it's Hanumanji that found it, or one of the Vanaras that found it and took it to Sugriv and Hanumanji. And so here, it could be that he remembered that they had found this jewelry. Possibly it was Sita ji, we could help you. Or it's just, you need help, we can help. And then he says, there's Sugriv, and he's also in exile, just like you are in exile. He is exiled from his kingdom, and he's been fleeing from his brother. And actually, maybe y'all can help each other, because once he gets the kingdom back, then he can also send out the warriors. And this whole conversation is happening, and Ramchandraji is not saying anything. And then suddenly, Hanumanji thinks, there's this sudden kind of recognition that happens in his heart that, wait, you're not just son of Dashrath, you're not just, he's not saying anything, and so Hanumanji just keeps talking, and that happens, right? When the other person doesn't say anything, then you feel like you have to talk more, and But then there's this sudden, in his heart, there's this sense of recognizing who Ramchandraji is. Because Hanumanji is Amsha of Shiva. Ramchandraji is Vishnu's avatar. And Shiva has immense love for Vishnu and has seen every avatar of Vishnu and has this, always recognizes it. And so suddenly here, there's but wait, you not Dashrath Putra Ram. And then there's immense clarity in Hanumanji's mind that you are Bhagavan Vishnu and you've taken this avatar and you've come here. And then there's this incredible, how could I not have recognized you? And then there's an even further grief of, okay, I didn't recognize you. Why didn't you recognize me? Like, you are Bhagwan. You should be able to recognize me. And so now there's this immense upset. Like, how come you haven't recognized me? Like, first there was upset, like, how come I didn't recognize you? But now that's totally overshadowed. And see, remember I said we all want attention? Why didn't you recognize me? And we really do. We want to be known. Like, the number of times people have come up to me and said, do you know who I am? I'm like, oh no. Such a hard question. You are you. We want attention. So coming back to Hanumanji's, why haven't you recognized me? Because of this feeling of forsaken. Like, you my Lord, you my master, how come you haven't recognized me? So not even so much of wanting of attention, but like the natural order of the way things should be. You are all knowing, you should just be commanding me, but you haven't, and he's still, Ramchandraji still not saying anything. Just fine. And then frustrated. There's this sense of frustration of, like, I've recognized you now and you're still not. And in that frustration, the disguise of being a Batu slips. And Hanumanji appears as Hanumanji. I can't remember the exact words that Ramchandraji said, but it's to the effect of course I recognized you, but you didn't come as you. And I remember when I first heard this, that it's for as long as we are pretending in front of Bhagavan, he'll let us. Hanumanji was in disguise. He wasn't being himself. And so Bhagavan recognized him, but also recognized that he's in disguise. And so, let him. Let him pretend. Let him carry out whatever. And for Hanumanji, it lasted a few minutes, and his disguise slipped, and he goes back to being Hanumanji in front of Bhagavan. But we can spend a whole lifetime pretending. And we pretending just for everybody. Like, it's not that we constantly not being who we are. It's usually out of some kind of insecurity. We put up a front, a face, so to say. I know one person, when she'll be spending time with me and then she has to go off somewhere, and she'll take out her little pouch and she'll say, I have to put on my face before I go out. The first time I heard it, I thought it was, you have to put on your face. Like, you know how you put on a jacket, you have to put on your face. Because this is the face that I wear when I go out. Now, that face is not just makeup. All of us put on a face for when we have to go out. Just this morning, a mom was telling me about the son is so different at home, such a tyrant at home, and then outside, anyone and everyone can bully him. Why? Because we put on a face when we go out. And so Ramchandraji just stood there until this face fell. And then he said, of course I recognized. And usually in the Ramayana, Ramchandraji never shows that he's Bhagwan. Like this would be one of the woes, and it's just one sentence. Not even that he acknowledges anything else. But it's such a profound statement because Bhagwan recognizes who we really are. And it's almost like he's waiting for us to recognize who we really are. And until then, he waits. He lets us keep pretending. And now this can be seen on so many levels. At the first level, it's our swadharma. Right? My own personality, my quirks, my this. We hide even all of that when we're out in the public persona. And then, but this is who I really am as a person. And maybe who I am as a person is, quite timid and but then in the public persona, I pretend to be very bold and we hide. We hide who we are. We hide our fears. We hide our insecurities. We try to hide our perfections. I'm going to emphasize try because it doesn't get hidden. And just be ourselves. Bhagwan wants us to just be ourselves. But then there's a deeper layer to this, which is who we are as these bodies and these personalities are not who we are. And Bhagwan recognizes who we really are. Not the personalities that we are being, but the very core of truth within, which is within each one of us. And so here we are being so desperate to be recognized. But which part of us do we want recognized? Is it even who we are? Like, are we so clear? Like, wanting attention, yes, we all want it, but for what? Like, is that who we really are? We're getting the attention for, and it's a face. And then we're not going to feel fulfilled because that's not me getting attention. It's the face getting attention. So, coming back to this wonderful journey of the devotee. So first there's attraction, right? And then inquiry. Who are you? And then there is recognition that this is something more than what it is. Because Hanumanji has this awakening of, wait a minute, this is not just an ordinary man. Recognition that divinity is manifesting in the form of Guru or God or beauty or intelligence or whatever form that it is we are being blessed to be able to see. And then even in that recognition, there's so much doubt. Like, if you were God, then how come you didn't recognize me? And then there's still about, what about me? Why aren't you looking after me? And sometimes, even though we lifted to see something so incredibly beautiful and divine, we still come back to, but me. And then finally, there's the surrender. In that feeling of, why didn't you recognize me? When he was so flustered, he dropped the disguise. Consciously, unconsciously, but surrender has to be conscious. And so the dropping of the disguise is this absolute surrender and the vulnerability of showing ourselves as we are. And for a seeker, it's this is me, and then so many flaws. Because, in front of other people, we want to appear to be perfect. But even in front of Bhagwan, we want to, there's this fear of, don't judge me, don't punish me. Sometimes. But in maturity, it's like, actually see all the flaws. Because only when you see them, you can change them. And let Bhagwan see them, so let Bhagwan be able to heal whatever it is that needs healing. And this is surrender. This opening ourselves to be seen in truth what we are. And in that surrender, we come to know that he already knew. We were so busy hiding it, but he already knew. He's just waiting for us to be brave enough to show it. And then there's this immediate connection. Once the surrender happens, Hanumanji is now no longer worried about, why didn't you recognize me? There's this immediate fit. Servant finding master, or us finding home. But sorry, I missed one step. There's the let me help you, right? In that whole who are you? And then before the recognizing completely of who he is the let me help you. So initially there's some recognition of you are divine. Attraction, who are you? Recognition of you are divine, something more. And then let me help you. And so even in terms of us as spiritual seekers, attracted to this path, and then so much inquiry of who it is. And there is something there, even though we don't totally understand it. And then let me also do something fulfilling with my life. Right? Some kind of service, whether it be helping needy people, or whether it be just organizational stuff, or whether it be spreading this knowledge, or in some way, let me help you. And because I am a Swamini, my life will be somewhat slightly different to yours. And one of the ways in which my life is a little bit different to yours is that the minute I try to pick up anything, people will, no, let me carry that. And it's really intriguing because often the other person, I'm way stronger than them. Like maybe they were elderly, and so then I really shouldn't be making them pick up things. Or, just because I'm taller and bigger and I yoga and, I'm stronger. Or some little kid who is not as strong. And the mother will be like, help Swamiji. And then they can hold it back. But it's always so heartwarming to me that they want to be helpful. The easiest way to be helpful will be they'll want to carry whatever it is that I have to carry. And sometimes it's something really light, and so no big deal. But like today, I was carrying books, so it can be a little bit heavy. And then now, I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to get lectured about why I carry. Sometimes you have to. But still, like even today, when I was carrying it, and the person who said, let me take it from you, I said, no. They were like, why? And I'm like, because I'm stronger. They looked at me like, huh? No, I'll do it. And I'm like, no. Let me help you. Right? It's a sentiment that's so maybe culturally engraved in us, or when it's something related to higher. We want to be helpful. But it's very much part of seeker's journey. We want to be helpful. And like I said, my life is a little bit different in one or two ways, but it's similar in also many ways. Right? Many people will want to lift the bag while they're walking with me, but if there's actual work to be done in the ashram, oh, no, I don't have time. Yeah. So how helpful we want to be is linked in with how much we really want the answer to who are you? And how much we recognize who are you. The more we recognize divinity, the more helpful we'll want to be to that divine cause. And the beautiful thing about Hanumanji is that one of the things he's known for is this seva bhav. And it was immediate. Meet Ramchandraji, ask him who he is. Oh, you need help? You're finding your wife? Let me help you. Like it was immediate. Wanting to help. And seva bhav is just, It's not only like to ashram, to guru. If I can be helpful, let me be helpful. And so why would it be only my bag that people carry? Because I'm a Swami. Are we helping each other? Bags? Maybe. Maybe it doesn't even occur to you. But Seva Bhav can't be limited. Hanumanji thought it immediately, without even fully recognizing who Ramchandraji is. And so we see it again in that now that he's understood who Ramchandraji is and there's this beautiful union between them, then the very first thing he thinks is, oh, Sugriv. Sugriv is still at the window looking out, wondering who Ramchandraji is. And Hanumanji now has dropped his disguise. So there's potential that Sugriv's getting more anxious here, that he's dropped his disguise now. Sugriv will be found out and who he is. And so then, let me help you becomes, oh, my friend is here, and let me help him by introducing him to you. And so this is also, it's a very cute part of the Ramayana. Suddenly Ramchandraji says, okay, where's your friend? And, Hanumanji points up to the mountain where Sugriv is at the top of the mountain. And Ramchandraji says, I'm so tired. Nowhere in the Ramayana has Ramchandraji said, I'm so tired. Suddenly, only today, he is very tired. And he tells Sugriv, Hanumanji, tells Sugriv to come down. And then this is a very famous reply that Hanumanji gives to Ramchandraji. He says, with great effort, we climb up. Don't make him come down. Like it takes so much effort to go up. Which is why I said Ramchandraji never says I'm tired. Like this, why only today he chose to be tired, I'm not sure, that he didn't want to climb the mountain. Maybe he was missing Sita ji so much, and then he just really was very tired. It's possible. But it was, I think, personal opinion, not in scriptures whatsoever. Hanumanji then offers to say, I'll carry you up. And after so long, Hanumanji and Ramji have been united. Like in this avatar, they're meeting properly for the first time. Shivji did come to see Ramchandraji when he was a baby, but not as Hanuman. And so to spend more time with him and to have that closeness, so that he rides on Hanumanji's shoulder, because this is the only time it happens. Hanumanji grows really big, and then Ramchandraji sits on one shoulder, and Lakshman sits on another shoulder, and Hanumanji carries them out. This is one of those very sweet pictures of the Ramayana. It's also the only time you see that Hanumanji is actually carried Ramchandra. Recently, in one of the animations of the Ramayana, you have Hanumanji very big and Ramchandraji riding on his back as he's flying through the battlefield. It's not documented. Might have happened, but it's not documented. But this this incident of Hanumanji carrying Ramchandraji on his shoulder is, he had to become really big, huh? For Ramchandraji to fit on the shoulder. Is documented. Just that sweetness. Oh, I want to help. He just said, right? Hanumanji just said, I can help. Let me help. And immediately, Ramchandraji lets him. Nowhere in the Ramayana, Ramchandraji said, I'm done. And so now who's pretending? Why? So he can fulfill Hanumanji's wish. Help. You carry me. I'm tired. Yes. He can walk out. But it was Hanumanji's desire. Let me help. Let me do something. And after being so upset, you didn't recognize me. I'm your servant, you my master, you're supposed to recognize me. And so Ramchandraji is, you the servant? No, I'm the master. You carry me. I recognize you. But Ramchandraji didn't show. In Ram Avatar, he didn't show he was master. So he had to say, I'm telling you. There's so much sweetness in these stories. We'll pause here for today. Let Ramchandraji rest on Hanumanji's shoulders till next year. This will be the last class for this year. Such a nice note to end on. Last time we ended on kidnapping note. This is much nicer. Any questions?
Sweet was his master.
Sugriv was Hanumanji's master.
So then changed.
No, he'll still serve Sugriv.
Sugriv still Sadi is there out there.
Yeah. Sugriv is very anxious.
Failed with Sugriv?
No. Hanumanji was doing a great job serving Sugriv because Sugriv's still alive. Yeah. But Sugriv was anxious. I didn't really talk about that, but potentially also because of some guilt. Like I said, we don't have too much backstory of their relationship. But he did seal the cave, and his brother was inside, and he was still alive. And sure, it's a very difficult thing to know. Do it, don't do it. I mean, we've done that 300 times, right? Do it, don't do it. And then, oops, that was the wrong thing to do. And then there's guilt. So maybe the anxiousness was tied in with guilt, but also Bali is very strong. Sugriv doesn't know when's he going to attack. So there's anxious.
My question is, what listen to Sugriv words or to do something really helpful for him? Just listen to it.
When Hanumanji was serving Sugriv, it wasn't the same way he serves Ramchandra. He was serving Sugriv, but Sugriv is not all-knowing, so he didn't have to listen to Sugriv. Also, he wasn't serving Sugriv as You are my master. He was serving Sugriva as, this is my Guru Dakshina to your father. I'm looking after you. So it doesn't have to be explicit, listening to every single word. But Hanumanji was very sweet to Sugriva. Very nice relationship there. I don't know if I've answered your question.
What's the priority of observing?
What should be Hanumanji's priority? Bhagwan, Ramji. Very clear. Anyway, he takes Ramji to Sugriv. Sugriv benefits from it. So he's serving Sugriv only.
This happens to our daily life. We want to have someone, but if what we do, they don't like it.
We're trying to help someone, but what we're doing, they don't like. Yeah.
Carrying a stranger to uphill.
Yeah, please don't carry random. Strong are you, Meisha, that you can carry people? Yeah. Service, they should want to be served. It is tricky, but also we have to see age, situation. Sorry. Yeah, if they don't want you to serve, don't do it. There was that really sweet video where there was someone elderly and they refused help for crossing, but they were very slow in the way that they walked. And so the light was probably going to change before they. So this girl stood like not close, but not as though holding her, like one step away. And she was just on her phone. But actually, she's walking as slow as the old lady, next to the old lady, in case she's needed. But she was on her phone. So the old lady doesn't know she's there for her. So sometimes, like if they don't want to feel like, I'm not so old, leave me alone, don't make them feel old. You just pretend like you're doing something else, but you're there in case they need you. But she also walked on the side of the traffic. So this person was. Y'all didn't see this video? Random forwards? No. It was very thoughtful. It's like this, when you want to serve someone and they don't want to be served, how to do it so that it's not offensive to them. Like let the person keep their dignity, kind of. Because that's also service. Any other questions? Yes. I didn't say that bit. Yeah. Yeah, so she's referring to in the Ramayana when Hanumanji comes down and he asks, who are you? And he phrases his questions. Ramchandraji actually looks at Lakshman and says, this is no ordinary Vattu. Have you noticed the grammar and the way he uses language? He's very well learned. That, and then what was the question?
You also mentioned that I'm struggling with
But that he's still very eloquent and intelligent, but it's, yeah. Ramchandraji, oh, you're saying because Ramchandraji recognizes him and says he's not an, but he, okay, let me explain. So, Ramchandraji makes this comment that this is no ordinary Batu. He's, look at his grammar, look at his use of English language. He's very intelligent, he's very learned. So there's recognition. Ramchandraji is showing he recognizes, right? But he doesn't say, oh, Hanuman, how are you? So Hanumanji is still thinking, you didn't recognize me as Hanuman. So Hanumanji is thinking, how come you didn't recognize me? But you're right. Ramchandraji gave indication that he did recognize by that statement. But he's just recognizing that Hanumanji is learned. He's not recognizing this is Hanuman. Does that make sense?
So he's kind of frustrated, still was able to.
Yeah. Even though he's disguised, his learnedness still comes through. Yeah, he's in the disguise. Yeah, and Ramchandraji does hint that he's recognized, but he praises the intelligence and the use of the language. But he doesn't say this is Hanuman. Yeah. So he's recognized intelligence, not Hanumanji, in Hanumanji's mind. Yeah, I didn't even mention that bit. Lots of bits I haven't mentioned. I'm just going with the theme and then following that theme because most of y'all know the story. No? No, but I'm not saying dialogue on most the story bits I'm covering more story than I did in the Mahabharata. Yeah? Doesn't matter. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kasyit Dukhabhag Bhavet Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Mritangamaya Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamucachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Hari Om.